Ladies, let me talk to you for a minute, heart to heart. Not from theory, not from a book, but from real life. Because by 2026, relationships have changed. Men have changed. Women have changed. The rules have changed. But there is one truth that has never changed, and this is the secret every woman must understand. If she wants a man to come back, not chase, not beg, not convince, but come back on his own. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. A man doesn't come back because you love him more. He comes back because he feels something he can't replace. A man does not come back because you keep reminding him how much you care, how much you invested, or how much you're hurting. He doesn't come back because you send long messages explaining your feelings or replaying old memories. What pulls a man back is something far deeper and far more powerful than words. It's the absence of your energy. When your presence is gone, when your emotional availability is removed, that's when the shift happens inside him. Words can be ignored, muted, or brushed off. Energy cannot. Energy is felt, even in silence. When you were constantly there checking in, forgiving quickly, understanding everything, adjusting yourself to fit his comfort, your energy became familiar. And familiarity, while comfortable, doesn't always create value. A man starts taking emotional access for granted when he believes it's unlimited. He may still care, but he stops feeling urgency. He stops feeling fear of loss. And without that feeling, there's no reason for him to return or change. The absence of your energy creates a vacuum. Suddenly, the emotional support he leaned on is gone. The warmth he felt without earning, it is no longer available. He notices the quiet, not because you're trying to punish him, but because something essential is missing. This is where his mind starts working against him. He begins replaying conversations, moments, laughter, even arguments, not because you forced him to, but because your absence gave his mind space to feel. Energy is the way you made him feel about himself. Supported, understood, valued, seen. When that energy disappears, it leaves a mark. Men don't always process emotions immediately. Sometimes it takes distance for feelings to surface. When you stop reaching out, stop reacting, stop chasing closure, you give him that distance. And in that space, emotion finally catches up. This is why silence works when it's genuine, not silent treatment, not manipulation. Real silence that comes from choosing yourself. When your energy shifts from him to you, something changes in the dynamic. You're no longer the woman waiting. You're the woman living. And that's when curiosity replaces certainty in his mind. He starts wondering what you're doing, how you're feeling, who you're becoming. Words try to convince, energy reveals truth. When you keep explaining, you're still emotionally present. When you keep asking for clarity, you're still giving access. But when your energy withdraws, it sends a message without saying anything. You are no longer the center of my world. That message hits deeper than any argument or emotional plea ever could. The absence of your energy forces him to feel the consequences of his choices. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, heavy way. He feels the lack of emotional safety. He feels the silence where comfort used to be. He feels the difference in his daily life. That's when regret begins to grow, not because you demanded accountability, but because life without your presence feels different. This doesn't mean every man will come back, and that's the point. The power of this secret isn't control over him, it's control over yourself. When your energy is no longer tied to his validation, you reclaim your strength. Whether he returns or not, you are no longer stuck. And paradoxically, that freedom is often what draws him back, because men are drawn to women who are grounded, self-directed, and emotionally centered. When a man comes back because of your absence, it's not because you chased him into missing you. It's because The space you left behind spoke louder than anything you could have said. Silence only becomes powerful when it is supported by self-respect. Without self-respect, silence feels empty, forced, and painful. It turns into waiting, hoping, and watching instead of healing and rising. A woman can stay quiet on the outside and still be emotionally chasing on the inside. And that kind of silence has no strength in it. Real silence is not about punishment or strategy. It is about choosing dignity over desperation and valuing yourself enough to stop over-explaining your worth. Self-respect changes the reason behind your silence. You are no longer quiet because you are afraid to speak or scared to lose him. You are quiet because you refuse to argue for love that should be freely given. When a woman respects herself, she understands that constant explaining, begging for clarity, or asking to be chosen slowly teaches a man that her boundaries are flexible. Silence backed by self-respect sends the opposite message. It says you know who you are, you know what you deserve, and you are not willing to stay in confusion. Men feel the difference immediately. Silence without self-respect feels needy even when no words are spoken. Silence with self-respect feels firm, grounded, and final. It creates a pause that forces reflection. A man begins to sense that he no longer has control over the emotional dynamic. He realizes that access to you is no longer guaranteed. This realization doesn't come from threats or ultimatums. It comes from the calm certainty in your withdrawal. Self-respect also protects your emotional energy. Instead of replaying conversations, checking your phone, or waiting for a sign, you redirect your focus inward. You invest in your peace, your routines, your growth. This shift is not loud, but it is noticeable. Your absence feels different because it is not empty. It is full of self-value. That fullness creates contrast, and contrast is what makes a man recognize what he has lost. When silence is backed by self-respect, you stop reacting. You stop defending yourself against misunderstandings. You stop trying to prove that you are worthy of love. This is where your power lies. A woman who does not react emotionally to inconsistency becomes unforgettable. Her calm creates discomfort in a man who expected emotional access without responsibility. Self-respect also means accepting reality instead of fighting it. If a man is unsure, distant, or inconsistent, you do not try to fix him with patience alone. You step back. You allow him to feel the weight of his indecision. Silence becomes a mirror that reflects his behavior back to him. Without your emotional cushioning, he has to sit with his choices. This kind of silence is not cold. It is clear. It is not angry. It is aligned. And alignment is attractive. Men are drawn to women who are emotionally stable and self-anchored. When you stop centering your life around his responses, your energy shifts. That shift changes how he perceives you. You are no longer someone he can put on pause. Self-respect teaches you that your value does not decrease when someone fails to see it. It teaches you that walking away from confusion is an act of self-love, not loss. Silence becomes your boundary, not your weapon. And boundaries change dynamics more than arguments ever could. A man who feels silence backed by self-respect begins to question himself, not because you demanded answers, but because your calm withdrawal signals that you are no longer tolerating less than you deserve. That question lingers in his mind longer than any emotional conversation could, because it challenges his sense of control and forces him to confront what he may have taken for granted. Men do not miss you simply because you were always there. They miss you when what they once had access to is no longer available. There is a powerful difference between availability and access, and most women confuse the two. Availability is being present whenever he wants, responding whenever he calls, adjusting your schedule your emotions, and your standards to fit his convenience. Access is deeper. Access is your time, your emotional support, your softness, your attention, your understanding, and your presence in his life. When a man has unlimited access without responsibility, he stops valuing it. A man gets used to availability very quickly. When he knows you will answer no matter how he treats you, when he knows you will forgive without change, when he knows you will stay even in confusion, your presence becomes predictable. Predictability creates comfort, but comfort without effort leads to neglect. He doesn't feel the risk of losing you, so he doesn't feel the need to protect the connection. This is not because he is cruel, but because human nature does not cherish what it believes it can always reach. Access, on the other hand, must be earned. When a man earns access to your world, he feels invested. He feels proud. He feels responsible. The moment access is removed, that investment is threatened. That is when missing begins. Not missing your messages, but missing the role you played in his life. Missing the emotional safety. Missing the way you made things easier. Missing the version of himself he was when he had you. This is why men often don't feel the loss immediately. When you leave but remain emotionally available, he still has access. He can text, call, check your social media, or return whenever he feels like it. In his mind, nothing has truly changed. But when access is cut off, when he realizes he no longer has a front row seat to your life, something shifts. He begins to feel the absence in real ways. Men miss access when they no longer receive the benefits of the relationship without the effort, when there is no one checking on them emotionally, when there is no one affirming them, when there is no one absorbing their stress, when the comfort disappears, reality hits. That's when loneliness feels louder. That's when comparison starts. That's when he realizes that not everyone offers what you offered. Many women think being available will make a man stay. In truth, over-availability teaches him that he doesn't have to show up fully. Removing access is not about revenge or games. It is about restoring balance. It is about saying that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable and not freely given to someone who is unsure, inconsistent, or careless. When access is removed, a man is forced to sit with himself. He can no longer reach you to feel better, to get reassurance, or to relieve boredom. He feels the silence in moments where your presence used to fill the space. That absence becomes emotional pressure, and pressure creates awareness. This is also where a woman regains her power. By limiting access, she stops pouring into someone who is not pouring back. She reclaims her emotional resources. She becomes centered again. And that change in energy is felt. Even without words, a man senses when he no longer has the same privileges. Men don't miss what they can still touch. They miss what is no longer within reach. When access is gone, value is re-evaluated. Not because you demanded it, but because you stopped giving it away freely. A man's regret is rarely triggered by arguments, emotional conversations, or even the moment you walk away. Regret grows slowly, and it grows strongest when he sees that you did not stop living after he left. Growth and emotional independence create a quiet contrast that forces him to reflect. When a woman collapses emotionally, waits in pain, or puts her life on hold, a man feels relief instead of loss. But when she rises, adapts, and becomes stronger, something shifts inside him. Emotional independence is not coldness. It is stability. It is the ability to feel deeply without falling apart. When a woman no longer needs constant reassurance or validation, her energy changes. She moves differently. She speaks differently. She carries herself with a calm confidence that cannot be faked. That shift unsettles a man who once believed she depended on him for emotional security. Growth exposes what was taken for granted. When he sees you improving your life, protecting your peace, and choosing yourself, it creates a mirror. He is forced to look at his own stagnation, his own choices, and his own loss. Growth does not shout. It does not announce itself. It is seen in your consistency, your boundaries, your glow, and your focus. That silent progress speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Men feel regret when they realize the version of you they left no longer exists. When they see that you are not waiting, not begging, not stuck in the past, it disrupts their sense of control. He expected you to struggle. He expected your world to shrink without him. Instead, he sees expansion. That realization hits deeply because it means he did not just leave you. He left a future that no longer includes him. Emotional independence also removes the safety net he once relied on. When you stop being the person who absorbs his confusion, forgives without change, or stays available despite uncertainty, he feels the weight of that absence. He can no longer reach you to feel powerful or reassured. That loss of emotional access creates discomfort. And discomfort is where reflection begins. A woman who grows does not seek revenge. She does not post to provoke or act happy to send a message. Her focus shifts naturally. She becomes selective with her energy. She invests in her body, her mind, her goals, and her joy. This authenticity is what makes the difference. A man can sense when growth is real, and real growth triggers regret because it cannot be undone or controlled. Regret is intensified when he realizes someone else may now benefit from the woman he once had, not in a jealous way at first, but in a reflective way. He remembers the effort you put in, the loyalty you showed, the patience you gave. Seeing you emotionally stable and independent forces him to acknowledge what he lost through inaction or complacency. This is why chasing never works. Chasing keeps you small in his mind. Growth expands you. Emotional independence removes desperation from the dynamic. It shows him that your worth was never dependent on his presence. That realization challenges his ego and his assumptions. A man regrets losing a woman when he sees that she became stronger, wiser, and more grounded without him. Not because she tried to prove anything, but because her life kept moving forward. That forward motion becomes a reminder that he was a part of her journey, not the destination. Many women are taught, directly or indirectly, that love is proven by endurance, by patience, by how much you can tolerate while still staying kind and understanding. Over time, this belief turns into over-explaining, over-giving, constantly proving your worth to someone who is unsure about you. But the moment you start proving your worth, you unintentionally place yourself beneath the person you're trying to convince. Love was never meant to be earned through exhaustion. When you stop proving your worth, you stop negotiating your value. You no longer feel the need to explain why you deserve respect, honesty, or commitment. You understand that the right person does not need to be persuaded to show up correctly. Clarity becomes the new standard. You are no longer satisfied with mixed signals, vague intentions, or emotional inconsistency. If someone wants you in their life, their actions make that clear without confusion. Requiring clarity is not demanding too much. It is refusing to accept too little. Clarity means you know where you stand. It means words and actions align. It means there is no guessing, no decoding, no waiting for someone to decide if you are enough. When a woman asks for clarity, she is not asking for reassurance. She is asking for truth, and truth simplifies everything. Effort is the natural partner of clarity. A man who is clear about you will not struggle to show effort. He will make time. He will follow through. He will communicate. Effort does not mean grand gestures. It means consistency. It means reliability. It means emotional presence. When you require effort, you stop accepting potential as a substitute for behavior. Many women stay stuck because they fall in love with who a man could be rather than who he consistently shows himself to be. Proving your worth keeps you tied to that hope. Requiring effort brings you back to reality. It grounds you in what is actually happening instead of what you wish would happen. That shift alone changes the entire dynamic. When you stop proving yourself, you also stop over-functioning in the relationship. You no longer carry the emotional weight for two people. You don't remind, chase, or fix. You allow space for a man to step up or step away. And that space is revealing. It shows you who is willing to meet you where you are and who only enjoyed you when you were doing all the work. Requiring clarity and effort does not push the right man away. It filters out the wrong one. A man who is serious will respect your standards. A man who is unsure will feel uncomfortable because standards expose intention. When you stop accepting excuses, you stop living in confusion. Peace replaces anxiety. Confidence replaces self-doubt. This shift also changes how a man perceives you. You are no longer someone trying to be chosen. You are someone deciding what you will allow. That role reversal is powerful. It removes desperation from the equation and replaces it with self-assurance. Men respond differently to women who know their worth and are willing to walk away from inconsistency. Requiring clarity and effort is an act of self-respect. It is choosing honesty over attachment, alignment over longing. It is understanding that love should feel secure, not stressful. When you raise your standards, you raise the quality of experiences you allow into your life. And when a man realizes that access to you requires intention and consistency, he either rises to meet that level or removes himself, revealing the truth you needed all along. The real power in any relationship is not in holding on, convincing, or waiting for someone to choose you. The real power is reaching a place where you are genuinely okay whether he returns or not. This state of mind changes everything. It shifts your energy from fear to freedom, from attachment to self-trust. When a woman reaches emotional neutrality about the outcome, she stops giving her power away. Being okay with either outcome does not mean you never cared. It means you cared enough about yourself to stop abandoning your needs for someone else's uncertainty. It means you no longer define your worth by whether a man stays, leaves, or comes back. When your happiness is no longer dependent on his decision, you become emotionally grounded. That grounding is felt even from a distance. Most people try to hold on because they are afraid of loss, but fear makes people compromise their standards. Fear makes them tolerate confusion, inconsistency, and emotional neglect. When you release that fear, your behavior changes naturally. You stop chasing clarity. You stop overthinking silence. You stop interpreting every action as a sign. Calm replaces anxiety, and that calm becomes your strength. When a man senses that you will be okay without him, it disrupts the dynamic. He expected longing. He expected waiting. He expected you to struggle. Instead, he feels your independence. He feels that he is no longer the center of your emotional world. This realization can be unsettling because it removes control. It forces him to confront the fact that his presence is a choice, not a necessity. Being okay either way also allows you to see reality clearly. You are no longer blinded by hope or fear. You can observe behavior without justifying it. You can listen to words without clinging to them. You can decide based on patterns, not promises. This clarity protects you from repeating cycles that drain your energy. This mindset also restores your self-respect. You no longer beg for effort or settle for breadcrumbs of attention. You understand that love should add to your life, not destabilize it. If he returns, he must return with intention, consistency, and respect. If he does not, you still move forward with peace. Either way, you win because you chose yourself. Men are drawn to women who are emotionally complete, not perfect, but whole. When you are okay with any outcome, you communicate strength without saying a word. You show that you trust yourself to handle whatever happens. That self-trust is deeply attractive because it signals emotional maturity and confidence. This power also frees you from waiting for closure. You no longer need explanations to move on. You create your own closure by choosing peace. You stop replaying the past and start investing in the present. Your life expands when you stop pausing it for someone else's indecision. In the end, the greatest power a woman can have is knowing she will be fine, loved, and fulfilled with or without a man's return. That knowledge changes how she shows up, what she accepts, and what she allows. When you reach that place, love stops being a stroll and starts being a choice. And from that place of strength, whatever comes next will always be healthier than what you left behind.